All right, welcome to another episode of Warrior versus Zombie. And as always, I have another amazing warrior guest to share with you, Rob Bliss. And I'll introduce him in a second. But first, for those of you who need a reminder or haven't joined us before, let me tell you a little bit about Warrior versus Zombie. Success is a journey, it's not a destination. As warriors, we all have a history of ups and downs, wins and losses that are all part of making us who we are up to this point, provide a foundation for our path forward. We all battle our inner zombie as well as those zombies in our world. And in each episode, I interview warriors from all walks of life, aspiring leaders, entrepreneurs, artists, health practitioners, business owners, literally any inspired leader that has a story to tell. These warriors have a cause, they have unique value, and a vision that goes generations into the future. And today's guest is no exception. Rob Bliss is an amazing warrior. He's a founder and CEO of Smart Office USA, a one-stop shop for everything office technology, and Purple Cow branding, focusing on all things website, video production, branding, and social media. During his 40-year warrior journey of sales, Rob has knocked on over 25,000 doors, made over 50,000 phone calls, presented over 5,000 proposals, and sold millions of dollars in equipment sales. As a Canada native, Rob is passionate about Tim Horton's coffee. I do know that. I lived in Detroit for a while, so I do know Tim Horton's coffee. The Toronto Maple Leafs and the great sport of curling. And another interesting thing, that's a kind of a fun sport to watch. He's an avid networker and reader with over 700 books in his library, which is always open to anyone who would like to stop by and have a one-on-one and get a free book. So Rob Bliss, welcome to Warrior versus Zombie. How are things on your side of town today?
All right, Dave. Thank you. Thank you for the invite for being on your show. I'm very excited about that. But here I'm kind of close by you, living here in Farmers Branch, and I'm looking out my window here on the sixth floor, and we got a beautiful day.
Yeah, it is beautiful. Actually, I like this part. Lived in Michigan for 18 years, and so I wasn't too far from your where you started in Toronto and stuff. But I always enjoy the Texas weather, and it's a little schizophrenic, right? So today the high is going to be 60, and I think it's supposed to get up to like 90 on Monday, and then probably drop back down to 30 again. Who knows? I mean, we just this time of year it's a roller coaster, but it's not just the never-ending slog of winter that we deal with up in the northern part of the woods or the world. So what's going on in your world? Any interesting or exciting things happening right now? We'll
Well,
get into.
yeah, we've got some really exciting things going on in both companies. I think number one is, of course, we're in the pandemic, and a lot of people have been hurt, and it's been very sad last couple of 2 years. But my business has been blessed in the sense that we've had an increase in the 2 years. I think it's because we've been working really, really hard. And I'm really, again, blessed the fact that I've got a great team here. So,
Awesome. Well, I'm glad that, and we'll get into talking about what you're doing and how it's impacted you. But I'm glad that the zombie apocalypse, as I call it, the COVID and all the other things we've been going through, has provided opportunity. That's often the case with the warriors that I talk to, is because we kind of all experience the same trauma, but we don't always deal with it the same. And most warriors are always focused forward and kind of looking at things as just on the way and how do we take advantage of them or seize the opportunity rather than sit there and bemoan that things aren't like they used to be. So, well, that's brilliant. Let's do this. I want to take a quick break because I want to get into your story. I want to hear about how you got from where you started to where you are today. And then after that, we'll take a break and we'll hear about what you're doing today. So let's take a quick break. Let's hear a little bit of our theme song, which is Not the Getting There with Ricky Jean Wright. And we'll be right back with Rob Bliss and Warrior versus Zombie. All right, we are back. And Rob, thanks for the check in. Glad we're able to make this happen. I know you're going to be doing another show, Mastermind, with me tomorrow. And so I'm excited about that. And we'll get to see more of your teaching and some of those things when we get together tomorrow. But let's get into your story. Tell us, start wherever you think makes the most sense, and tell us how you got from there to where you are today.
Well, I think my the best way to start my story off is when I became an entrepreneur. Kind of typical of most people. I was in corporate America. I worked for a Fortune 500 company. I became the number 1 sales rep nationwide, and I had a great journey with them. And then, of course, then you jump into the entrepreneurial world. I wanted to start my own company. I loved the industry I was in, which was back then in the late 80s, early 90s, was telecommunications, when big old AT&T was broken up, and it really formed a big new industry. And I wanted to run with that. But again, I really had no background in being an entrepreneur. I don't think I even knew what the word entrepreneur meant when I first started out. But I wanted my own company. I wanted to do my own thing. I wanted to be able to bring a product that my customers would benefit from. I loved customer service. And so I started the entrepreneurial journey, 30 plus years ago. And let me tell you, Dave, it's been a up and down, up and down, up and down journey on that side.
So when you say up and down, so one of the important things, one of the things that folks always like to hear, because it makes us all realize that not any of us have avoided the zombies or the challenges. What kind of the downs? Let's talk about that. What kind of challenges have you overcome? What kind of zombies have you overcome in your journey to today?
I think the first stage of my journey was, I started out and we did very, very well. We reached $1 million in sales in the early 90s very quickly. I went from being a guy working out of his home to going to office space. I had over 20 employees. We reached over $1 million in sales, but then it just crashed. It cratered. I made bad mistakes. I had bad people on board, where the biggest thing was my accountant, or my in-house bookkeeper, stole money from me, and it really was a horror story where I had to shut that business down. And here I was on top of the world. Everything was great, and because I was not a business owner from the skill set point of view, I was a great salesman, but I didn't know how to run. I didn't know how to run a business, and that where I got lucky, and I picked up a book called The E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber, which that's probably the number 1 book I give out for people who come and visit my library, because you've got to understand the principles of building a business, and who you need on your org chart, and all the different skill sets. And it's not just all about you. The entrepreneurial myth is, about the fact that we're really good from the skill point of view, but that's much more than being just, owning your own business. So that was the light bulb went out when I read the E-Myth.
So yeah, so it sounds like you've had some challenges in the journey in terms of just your team and other things. Any other things that were overcoming? I mean, so when things cratered, or you lost everything, or you went from kind of feeling like you were all that, and then ended up having that down moment. How did that feel? How did you get through that?
Well, that's a good point. Again, went from the top and boom, crashed and burned. And, then I had to make that decision. What do I do? Do I go back, find a job, whatever? But, I've been blessed the fact that I've always had a positive mental attitude. And I had this belief in that I did want to, I wanted to run my own company. And I looked at this as an opportunity that, yes, I failed, but I learned a lot, and I'm going to do it again. I think by this time, I'd kind of been out on my own for about 10 years. I knew I couldn't really go back to corporate America. I was a little bit of a maverick, and I knew I wasn't going to fit into that corporate scene anymore. But again, I was a big believer, like Abraham Lincoln's career, where he wanted to become a politician. He ran for 7 different offices. He lost every single one, and then he ran for president and won his first election. He kept on at it. He was persistent, and I think that's what I had, that same gene in my DNA, that I wanted to. I believe so much in what I wanted to do, and I think that goes back to Simon Sinek's book, Start With Why. And when you understand and believe in your why, that gives you the fortitude to carry on in times of when you're in that zombie stage.
Absolutely, absolutely. Actually, that's a fascinating couple of things, both the E-Myth Revisited and uh, Simon Sinek, since I started on my own journey, have both come into my, yeah, I've got that on my bookshelf back here too. So Start With Why. Interestingly enough, we'll get into it, but I, believe everybody has a unique reason for being on the planet. And that's really the way I define a unique reason is, or life purpose or cause is, which he uses as well. But I remember just becoming familiar with him after I'd already created the Vision Challenge, and somebody said, "Yeah, you sound a lot like Simon Sinek," and I thought, well, I guess I should read that book. So, and now I realize how brilliant he is, and I've learned a lot from him. So that's awesome. And yeah, the E-Myth Revisited, good friend of mine and one of the co-founders of Be Connected, is always referring to E-Myth Revisited in terms of from his evolution in his career. So it also is a very, very good book, because you need a team. Life is a team sport.
Yes.
Well, that's fascinating. Well, let's do this. I want to get into. I know you've got a lot of things going, and you're going to be sharing again with my Richardson Plano networkers, or RP networkers, and the Be Connected community tomorrow in our mastermind. But I want to hear about, what you're doing today, why you're doing it, the value you provide, and if anything were possible, what kind of impact are you hoping to have? So let's take another quick break. We'll be back with, we'll hear a little of Ricky Jean Wright, and we'll be back with Rob Bliss and Warrior versus Zombie. All right, we are back. And Rob, thanks for the little synopsis of your story. Sometimes it's a challenge for those of us who have a little more story than others. Some of my warrior guests, maybe their journey is 15, 10 years, something like that. When you've got as much history or journey as we do, it's how do you cover the whole story in a short period of time? And there's a lot of things we can talk about, and I'm sure we could talk about a lot more. But now I want to hear about why you're doing what you're doing today. You said start with the why, why you're doing what you're doing today, and what kind of unique value. I believe we all have unique value, and if anything were possible, what would your ideal day look like, or what kind of impact would you like to have?
Well, cool. I started Smart Office USA 12 years ago, and I had been in consulting 4 or 5 years prior to that. I want to get back into my own company again, because I felt, again, the timing was right. I think I had learned some things. But again, my passion, my why, was the fact that I wanted to build a company and bring young people on board to help them understand what it was about becoming a business owner, becoming an entrepreneur. I think one of the things that I have not done in my career, I didn't have a mentor. And I would highly recommend to anybody listening right now, if you have the entrepreneurial spirit in you, if you want to own your own business, get a mentor before you make that decision and put it into action. And I think that has really been one of the things. And that's why you see with the books behind me, those have become my mentors. Mm-hmm. And it is just so important. Surround yourself with good people, supportive people. Find truly a couple of mentors out there, and that will, help you on your journey of being a business owner. But then, so that was my passion of starting my company. Like you fast forward 12 years later, I've got 7 employees. 4 of them came from when I hired them as interns from UNT. So they worked for me from 1 to 2 years. And then I've been fortunate enough that they wanted to stay on board. And they have been just really the driving force in making my company grow. And again, my dream now is when my exit strategy is be able to turn the business over to them. And so they'll be prepared to be able to run the business. So I'm kind of acting as their mentor so that they can take the business over. They become their own business, their boss, they're a business owner. So it's really exciting to have that behind me.
Wow, that's awesome. So you're the whole process of mentoring and running your business are all very integrated, it seems like, into
Yes.
your current strategy and stuff. So as you look at that, I mean, you mentioned your positive attitude, your positive, your mindset, which is huge and important, and the fact that you're surrounding yourself with leaders either through the written form or today there's so many ways, podcasts, YouTube, videos, as well as, if you're going to be a coach, you probably ought to have some coaches in your life, some real live mentors. And I, as somebody that is in the coaching business that doesn't have a coach in themselves, I question whether they're somebody that I work with. So that's brilliant. So if you look at what would you say is your unique value that you're providing to these mentees or your clients or whatever in today's world?
I think that I really talk about that a lot with my other company, Purple Cow Branding, and how that got started 4 or 5 years ago. And that was because my clients from Smart Office were dissatisfied with their marketing people and so on. And I was very passionate about the small business community. And especially now where I'm kind of in the 4th quarter of my career, and I really want to be able to give back to my community. And I saw this as an opportunity. And so when I run my marketing company, I get to use Smart Office kind of as the guinea pig. So I can find out if something's actually going to work or not. So it's not just some new shiny toy that we picked up off the internet or read in a book someplace and throw it out there to our prospects or clients. From the marketing side, we don't put it out to our clients until we've proven it has a proven track record at Smart Office USA. So we've got kind of real-time live situations where we know it will perform and be a good tool for our clients.
Awesome. Well, that's fascinating. So Smart Office USA is kind of like what I would say product side, and then the Purple Cow Branding is your marketing side. Is that do I have that right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, one of the things that small business owners lack is, number one is they don't have the money to get into marketing. Number two is they don't have the expertise marketing. And there's so many new shiny toys that are coming out all the time, and new we get bombarded by emails of the latest and greatest new marketing plan, and it can be very, very expensive. And so what we try to do at Purple Cow is we vet these things out first. So we try the new shiny toys, and we do that through Smart Office, and we can find out what are good, what we want to bring to our community, and what that's going to be just a waste of money.
Yeah, that's the shiny object syndrome is one that a lot of entrepreneurs and warriors, we have to, there's always like the next new toy, but it's easy to get for those to be distracting rather than adding value. So that's brilliant. I like that.
Going back to your question again, is that our value proposition, so to speak, is we're keeping marketing, we're making it simple and putting kind of you on a shoestring budget. And it's really going back to the basics. We've got, one of the biggest things is small business owners do not really maintain their database, and they don't have a CRM package. And so this can be one of the most powerful tools that can help expand, increase revenue again, on a shoestring budget and make it work for you. And we provide that information. Number one, we do have a program that you can buy from us, but we also have a DIY side so that we want to teach you that you have a very small budget, but we can teach you how to do it yourself. So that's kind of a unique thing with our DIY program.
So aside from having the business and mentoring the employees that you have so you could turn the business over to them as you move into, well, I don't believe, by the way, I don't believe in retirement per se. I've been retired for 16 years. Retirement is not doing nothing the way most people think of it. Retirement is doing what you want, when you want, with who you want, where you want, not stepping away from your life purpose. I believe that, we all, I'm a Christian. I believe that we all have a purpose for being on the planet. And I believe when we're done with that purpose, it's time to go home. So, and that's not a bad thing if you're, again, if you believe what I believe. But that being said, the average life expectancy with people that retire the way most people, my dad thought of retirement the way I thought of retirement before I kind of got some of the science and the understanding, was that, the average life expectancy for people who retire the way most people think of retirement is 6 years.
Wow.
So, and as I said, I've been retired for 16 years. So, obviously my definition is working for me. So, and now I have a vision to live to 120 with the vitality of a 30-year-old. So I'm working on that as well. Anyway, well, that's brilliant. So beyond the impact on the employees, what is there anything else as far as what kind of impact that you want to have, if anything were possible?
Yeah, I think the number one goal again is just helping young people, and that's number one. Number two is helping my customers understand marketing so they can build a successful small business. They don't have to go through the zombie stage like I did for about 15 years. So it took me. I was kind of a slow learner, and now I've kind of I'm in a position now where I can give back, and I want to be able to show again small business owners how they can avoid some of the pitfalls of being a business owner.
Well, and I love that. Warriors are always looking to blaze the trail or improve the journey for the people coming with them or behind them. So I love that. All right, well, let's do this. Let's take another quick break. We're going to get into what I call the land the plane segment. And here, if we take away anything from this podcast, what would you want us to take away? And then how we stay in touch with you. So we'll take another quick break, hear a little more of Ricky Jean Wright, and It's Not the Getting There, and we'll be right back with Rob Bliss and Warrior versus Zombie. All right, we are back. And Rob, that was awesome story, awesome vision of where you want to go, and love the fact that you're paying it forward. Love the fact that you're going to teach people not to make those mistakes. I mean, it's always better to learn from somebody else's mistakes. That's why the mentors and the books and all those things are obviously so important to you. And every warrior should realize that there's people that it's easier to learn and it's less expensive to learn from other people's experience than it is to have to learn from your own, right? So anyway, so as I said before the break, if we take away anything from this podcast, what would you want us to take away?
I think a little quote that I always like to use is from Michelangelo, that from 1495, I think he wrote this. He says, "Always be learning." And I really think that that's what we've got to do as not just as business owners, but as human beings, is that that's the beauty of life, I think, is on our journeys, that we always have the opportunity to learn, get to learn from other people, learn from life experiences, learn from the books. And I think if you have that mindset of always be learning, that you will be able to have a real good journey.
Yeah, I so love that. That's kind of one of my mantras as well. And again, it dovetails very well with your encouragement for people to have mentors. It's a lot about, a lot of people don't understand. I mean, I know you're have been in the networking community, and your networking is just learning, and there's no such thing really as failure. It's either you're learning or you're succeeding.
Yes.
And again, you've hit on all those things. So always be learning, and I believe also sharing what you're learning to with others, which again seems to be very aligned with the messaging that you shared with us today. So
And
the
that's
go get
one of my favorite books as well is Start With Why, that the Go Giver.
the go giver, yeah, richest man in Babylon. There's a
Yeah.
bunch of great books on. Yeah, I have a podcast guest that I had quite a few episodes back. Anil Gupta. He wrote a book, Immediate Happiness, talking about what you need. You know, the three G's, right? Always be giving, always be grateful, and always be growing.
Yeah.
And growing in all aspects of your life. So
Yeah.
part of why we do this podcast, part of why I'm always out learning from other people, not just how to do specific things, but also how they view things, what their view of the beach ball looks like, because we all can see the same situation and have a different point of view. So I think that's brilliant.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. And so this will be up on the Be Connected platform. So we'll get you on I don't know if you're on the Be Connected platform, we'll get you on the Be Connected platform. And so people can find you there, and it's Rob Bliss. But beyond that, how do we stay in touch with you? If we're listening to this podcast, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
I'm kind of giving out my email from Purple Cow Branding, which would be rob@purplecowbranding.com. I'd love for people to visit the website because we've got a big old orange button on the top right corner that says free resources. We've got lots of cool stuff about networking there and helping you grow your business. So yeah, rob@purplecowbranding.com.
And purplecowbranding.com is the website, right?
Yeah, that's the website. Yeah.
Yeah, I did check you out a little bit, and I do like it's pretty purple, pretty
Yeah.
yeah. It's a pretty cool little website. So, all right, not little web, but it's a pretty cool website. I haven't looked at it extensively, but enough to say, yeah, that's interesting. That's
Well,
different.
click on those free resources, Dave.
Yeah, well, I always free is always good if you put it to use, right? All right. Well, Rob, it's been great. I thank you for sharing with our audience. It's been brilliant. I'm looking forward to your mastermind tomorrow and hearing about doing our growing our business on a shoestring budget and that sort of thing. So I'm excited to hear about that. But for those of you that are regular participants, or if you're ready to come back, we visit with a warrior every week, 11 a.m. Central on Thursdays. And we'll be back next week with another episode of Warrior versus Zombie. So let's hear the final outro of Ricky Jean Wright, and we'll be back next week. Thanks again, Rob.
Thank you, Dave. Appreciate it.